Good now. We are the San Antonio Family Support Collective. Jacquelyn and I are a part of that, and we are just a collective of health and wellness professionals that desire to serve you and support you during this crazy season. So we're offering a bunch of online free workshops that are geared towards anything from pregnancy and postpartum, which is definitely the focus for today, to just self-care and to also just kids. So I have like 3 kids and I'm like, please, let's support each other and talk about how we can do this. So we're so glad that y'all came on here. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to start the screen share, the presentation portion. And so, all right, let me just minimize this. Okay. So welcome. All right, Jacquelyn, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Jacquelyn Paige. I'm an intuitive energy healer. I also have my 200-hour in adaptive therapeutic yoga, and I'm a meditation coach. And I just really work with specifically women and helping you release the traumas that prevent us from returning to our authentic self and embracing our self-worth. And after having my son, William, and navigating through my postpartum period, it really just drove my passion to helping women in their perinatal phase and just helping them connect to their intuitive voice to gain that confidence during birth and as becoming a parent. And so that's really what I offer, and I'm just so excited to be offering this workshop here today. So welcome.
Awesome, and we're so glad that you were here. I am Blanche Schuchardt. I'm the owner of Strong Momma Fitness. I am a certified pregnancy and postpartum fitness coach. I also have my personal training certification. I am a mom of 3 boys, and I was not always a fitness professional or, pregnancy and postpartum fitness coach. I actually grew up. I did grow up. I started out as a life coach, and then I transitioned into actually the field of pregnancy and postpartum, specifically kind of like what Jacquelyn was saying, through my first birth the birth of my first son. It was very transformational, and I learned so much, and it kind of set me on the path of figuring out so many things. And I really specifically dove into fitness because I was reclaiming a lot of my health and wellness during the season of giving birth to all these babies. I had 3 babies in 4 years, and there was just a lot that I learned. And so I'm very much a birth advocate. I'm a lover of all things that are succulents and coffee and dark chocolate. I would definitely rather be outside, especially today. If the internet would have let me, I would have been outside. And I'm an Enneagram 8 Wing 7, if any of y'all know what that is. So just fun little things about me. So today we're going to be going over the postpartum timeline. This is a quick overview. There's 3 phases within the postpartum period. The initial period, and I call the initial postpartum period weeks 0 through 12. You are postpartum forever once you have a baby. It's not at your 6-week checkup that you're miraculously not postpartum. You have the postpartum body forever, and you can definitely have strength and confidence, but there is the truth of, like, your body has shifted to a body that's given birth, and it's beautiful. So within the initial timeline, there's 3 phases. There's weeks 0 through 2, 2 through 6, and 6 through 12, as you can see. And this is what we're going to be kind of going over today.
And through this navigating to the postpartum phase, it's really, birth is such a profound energy portal of this rite of passage that we have as mothers. And I feel like as women, we go through this when we have our first menstruation cycle and going from like young girl into womanhood. Mm-hmm. And then birth really just allows us to go from maiden to mother, or even mother of 1 to mother of 2, and so on and so forth. And it's just this profound time to tune in, to connect with yourself, and you have the ability to heal so much of your past traumas and ancestral traumas if we allow and give that time for it. It's it's a beautiful time to heal, and it's also a time to grieve what you left behind, to be able to fully accept and honor of what you're going to be going into in this journey of motherhood. So we're excited to navigate you through this rite of passage through fitness and mental health awareness.
Yes, I love that. Okay, so, okay. Sorry, guys. Okay, so weeks 0 through 2, we're just gonna jump right in on the first stage. So you just had your baby, and these are the first 2 weeks post-birth. Really, it could seem like, depending on your birth and fitness background, genetic background, cultural background, so many variables, you could be going into the season with like so many different thoughts and feelings, right? You could be thinking, wow, I'm ready to start going. Birth was awesome. I don't want to be resting. That's boring, like whatever. Or it could be like, wow, it's really hard to get out of my bed. And how do people go to the bathroom, and how do they eat? And, again, so many different variables and thoughts. And there's not necessarily one right or wrong way to have this transition. And so just kind of giving your body space to really rest. And it may sound too simple or too easy or too boring, but you've been growing a human for 9 months, and your body has been consistently adapting and changing and stretching and doing and growing a human beautifully. And so once you give birth, your placenta has detached from your uterus. And so where your placenta was is now an open wound the size of a dinner plate. And so that sounds like really intense, but we say that because that's the importance of resting, and we really want that to heal well. So we don't want to overexert or put a high stress on our body during this time. So practically what that looks like is just really resting and lying down as much as possible. If you can't sleep, I get it. The first 2 babies, I definitely had postpartum anxiety, and even just circumstantially, I couldn't sleep. And so just, you can practice restful activities. So that's like taking a bath, meditating, reading a book, lying it down and not sleeping, but just really focus on resting these first 2 weeks. Also, the first about 6 days postpartum, you're really going to be in a state of inflammation, because that is the stage of healing that your tissues are in. And so it's really important to limit walking or standing during this time, to give your tissues and your body a time to heal and rest and recover from the marathon of labor and birth. And also the marathon of pregnancy and 9 months of growing that baby. So that is a little bit about just like the different focuses for this time. I'm going to make sure I didn't miss anything really quick. So yeah, different strategies to implement is taking time to recover well by adding quality nutrition. So it is out of my scope of practice to recommend specific meal plans for you guys. That's not what I'm going to be doing today, but I do want to recommend the book, The First 40 Days. It's a wonderful book that has a lot of really good recipes that I used during my initial postpartum with my last child, that I could feel just really replenishing my mind, body, and soul. And I really, really love and recommend that book. But generally, warm or hot meals like soups or stews are great on your digestive system, and can aid in your healing, right? Because it gets your blood going, and it's easier on your digestive system if it's warm, whole foods versus cold, raw veggies. It's not wrong to eat cold, raw veggies. If you are craving carrots, then please eat carrots if you're 2 weeks postpartum. But generally, this is really helpful, especially the first few days postpartum, to have some warm, whole, like soups and stews and things like that. So the next thing is exhale, engage, and exert. So this is just a very practical fitness movement strategy. I bless OBs and midwives. I really think they're amazing. sometimes when they're telling moms of multiples, don't pick up any children the first 2 weeks. I understand that. And I definitely don't think that you need to be picking up anything that you don't need to be. But there's situations, right? If you're mom of multiples, you get it. There's just a situation where like you can't help, you have to, right? And so I want to give you a strategy in those situations on how to do it well. So really it's just super simple. It's exhale, engage, exert. So let's say your toddler is throwing a fit, screaming, and you have to pick him up. Maybe he just hurt himself and you're really needing to comfort him in this moment. So you bend down. I want you to breathe in, breathe out, exhale your breath. As you exhale, focus on engaging that core and pelvic floor up and in. And so you exhale, breathe out, engage that core up and in, and then exert, pick that baby up and stand up. And you should be able to breathe throughout the whole movement. You're breathing out. So you pick him up and you're breathing out and you're standing up all at the same time. And so that just really adds added support to your core and pelvic floor if you exhale and engage before you exert and stand up. So that's just a simple thing that I kind of tell my mamas, hey, look, if you're in a pinch and you're not able to sit, like go to the couch and have them get on to your lap in a couch, or, you know, like all the things that people tell you to do. This is a great fitness strategy that you can kind of, use in these times. And so that's going to cover it from weeks 0 through 2. Now, Jacquelyn is going to be leading, or sorry, one more thing. This is just a simple like mantra that I use a lot, slow is fast. And that probably towards the end of your second week, you're going to start feeling potentially like you're wanting to go on more walks or get out of the house or do things. And I just really encourage you to settle into the pace of slowness during this season, as it's really only going to aid your long-term health and wellness. And the first 40 days talks some about this too. And so if you wanted to kind of go into that, but I have to repeat to myself multiple times that slow is fast in this season, and that it's okay to just rest my body.
Yeah, and just piggybacking off of that, if you try to do too much too soon, you can actually like regress in your healing. And I found that to be what happened with me. And I know you read the book, The First 40 Days. I read the book, The Fourth Trimester. So it sounds like very similar. And she talks about the 5-5-5 rule. So it's like 5 days in your bed,
Yes.
5 days on your bed, and 5 days around your bed. As much as you can practice that slowness and just giving yourself the time to honor like what you've truly gone through. You just grew a baby inside of your body. Like your body was a 3D printer, like, creating life. And however you bring this baby earthside, it's a lot of trauma on your body, whether it was the most beautiful, serene birth, whether you had complications or it was a C-section. This is trauma for your body, and you have to respect and honor that. And for me, one way was to just bringing connection to my body and just bringing love and gratitude for myself and for what my body was capable of, because we have this beautiful ability to grow life and sustain life and bring life earthside that not everybody has the opportunity to do. And so it's just a beautiful time to honor and cherish that. So we're going to do a little practice and even if you're still pregnant doing this, it's just a beautiful practice that I do anytime that I just want to connect to my body. And so we're going to do a heart and womb meditation. So first, let's just go ahead and rub your hands together and just get centered here wherever you are, maybe sitting down, closing your eyes, placing a hand on your heart and a hand on your womb. And I invite you to just close your eyes or have a soft gaze. And take a deep inhale through your nose and let out a sigh through your mouth, just sinking into your body. Let's do that again. In through your nose and exhale through your mouth, just feeling yourself melt into this present moment. And then just breathing normally, comfortable for you, bringing your awareness within your body. bringing awareness of how you feel in this current moment. Just taking note. Maybe any tension that you hold, see if you can just soften with your exhale. And on your next inhale, I want you to envision the energy of your heart and your womb being activated with love. Maybe just even drawing this beautiful lavender color with every breath, going a little brighter into these spaces. And as you exhale, just allowing that to settle into your body. Inhaling, allowing that beautiful light to glow brighter with love. And exhale, allowing that to settle into your body until your whole body is filled with this beautiful lavender love and healing and gratitude. Allowing this to be sealed up within you and around you. And just taking a moment to talk to your body. Giving gratitude for its strength and ability. Taking a moment to honor and recognize all that it's doing for you and your beautiful baby. Bringing softness and tenderness within you. Breathing into this love and gratitude. And wherever you are, just take a deep inhale, allowing this to really settle in, strengthen, breathing in. And as you exhale, release any judgments or expectations that you've had been holding onto your body, letting it go. Inhaling that love and gratitude, and exhaling the judgments, expectations, letting it go. Just taking one last moment to honor your body. Maybe repeating the mantras, I am beautiful, I am strong, I am capable. Just sealing this all in, allowing this protection bubble to surround you with this beautiful love, being grateful for this moment in your body. When you're ready, you can butterfly your eyes open, coming back to awareness of where we are.
That was so beautiful and relaxing. I loved that. Thank you for leading us in that. I am coming back to reality and okay. So that was Jacquelyn just leading us into a beautiful meditation and just gratitude and connecting to our body. And you can do this daily if you would like, even multiple times a day. I loved doing this when I was pregnant and connecting to my baby, whichever one it was that was in the womb at the time.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Okay, so now we're gonna highlight week 6, or 2 through 6. I love this week because you're kind of like, your baby may or may not be kind of waking up, and so having more wake time. You might be like, sometimes during this stage, your lochia or like your bleeding may kind of dry up and not be as prevalent. And so you're halfway through your 4th trimester by like the midway of this point. And so that's kind of like a huge milestone in my opinion. So during this stage, really the focus is reconnecting to our core and our pelvic floor. We really rested and had the initial recovery weeks 0 through 2. And so now we're going to reconnect to our core and pelvic floor through breath and body awareness. And I love this. Specifically, the different breaths that you can do are diaphragmatic breaths and connection breaths. And so I'm going to start with diaphragmatic breaths because that focuses on breathing well and relaxing and releasing different muscle groups. So through birth, because it's a very traumatic event on your pelvic floor, and that the pelvic floor the muscles actually stretch upwards of 250% for the baby to get through. It's beautiful because our bodies were in like very much designed to do this, right? It doesn't break our body having a baby at all, but we do need intentional recovery and time and space to do that. So because of the trauma or the impact on our pelvic floor and our core, sometimes just like if you were to hit like do anything else like a car wreck and you can hold tension in your neck because your neck's guarded because you had whiplash, it's kind of a similar event to birth in your pelvic floor. And so those muscles can become guarded and tight because they're holding on to they're like, well, that was really hard, we don't want to do that again right now, and I'm just gonna like tense up. And so diaphragmatic breathing helps because it helps connect to those muscles and really relax and release them. So if you're unfamiliar with diaphragmatic breath, I'm not going to go super in depth, but I'm just going to explain the canister analogy. So if you were to imagine your core being a canister, you have the top and the bottom of the canister. So the top is your diaphragm and the bottom is your pelvic floor. And then the wall of your canister is the wall of your abdominal wall. And so you have your transverse abdominis, your recti spinae, your internal obliques, your transverse abdominis, and then your rectus abdominis. Your recti spinae is in your lower back muscles, so it's like the back of your canister. And then your internal obliques and external obliques. And so that is the entirety of the core. And so if you were to breathe in diaphragmatically, you're going to focus on taking the top and the bottom of the canister, breathing in, and having them lower and descend, and then breathe out, and they would come back to neutral. So you're not overly tensing them as you breathe out and engaging the core, but you're just allowing it to come back to neutral. And when you breathe in, your ribs are expanding 360 degrees. And then you breathe out and they come back to neutral. And so those are some cues that you can focus on during this stage of weeks 2 to 6 to really lengthen these muscles as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, come back to neutral. I love doing diaphragmatic breaths laying down initially because it's helpful just on your core and pelvic floor with gravity. And then I like doing it actually on all fours because it really gives me great feedback if I'm holding tension in my abdominal wall. And so each breath in, I'll try to release my stomach a little bit more and allow it to hang just a little bit more. So to release all the tension. So that is one of the strategies that we can focus on, because before we strengthen any muscle, before we Kegel, before we do any of that, we really want to make sure we're lengthening it. And I'll talk about that. I'll talk about why in a few minutes. So the another thing that we're going to be doing is adding rehab movements in throughout your day. So like, what are you already doing throughout your day? You at this point are a little more mobile. You're getting on and off the couch multiple times a day, probably. You're walking a little bit around. You might be getting up and off the ground. You might be picking up toys more or cleaning up just a little bit. Maybe not, that's fine too. But you're going to be mobile. And so if you think of the functional movements like a squat or a hinge or a push or a pull or a lunge or different core stability movements, these are movements that you can very slowly introduce. So as an example, you're already going and getting up off and on your couch. So if you were to do just 10 squats to your couch. So I call them squat to box, but you can do squat to couch if you want. You're going to lower your bottom down to where the couch is to make sure you're not just flopping onto the couch and then hoisting yourself back up, but you're doing it well and engaging the right muscle groups. So you're going to hinge and lower yourself down, and then you're going to pause and then engage your glutes to come back up. So those are different ideas and things that you can be doing. So you're not, quote, working out or doing an intense workout, but you're honing in and focusing on those functional movement patterns that you have throughout the day and making sure you're doing that well. Another example is you can, if you're getting up off the ground, you can get into a shin box position, which if you aren't familiar with that, please just connect with me like after this and I can totally give you some resources. But you're in a shin box position and you can go from there to kneeling, to lunging, to standing, instead of like haphazardly just trying to hoist yourself up off the ground holding an infant. And these are just great movement patterns to get into a habit of doing so that you can set up long-term success with different muscle groups and strength and consistency. Um, Another little quick tidbit is that we want to continue to limit long walks. So this time especially can be really, really tempting to say like, oh, okay, like it's week 3 or it's week 4. I want to go out and do like an hour walk and hit like 5 miles or do this or do that. And it's really, really important to hone into your body awareness. Walking is actually pretty high demand on your core and pelvic floor, especially after birth. And so we want to limit long walks and still only be walking about 10 or 15 minutes a day up until about week 4-ish. And then you can start doing maybe 20 to 30 minutes a day if your body's communicating that that's okay. And so it's really important to know that everybody's timeline, these are 3 phases within each postpartum, but there's no timeline for whenever these like officially start or end for each person. So you might be like, wow, it's week 3 and I'm being able to walk 25 minutes and I don't have any feedback that's telling me like I need to stop. That's great. You could also be week 5 and it could be, you could start feeling feedback saying, I need to slow down. And if you're wondering, Blanche, what is this feedback you're talking about? It's pretty straightforward. It does take continued body awareness though and practicing that, but it's heaviness within your vagina or an achiness either during the exercise or afterwards. So if you're walking and you're okay with walking, but then let's say an hour later you feel pretty heavy and achy, that might be a symptom in your body saying like, hey, I actually pushed too far today. If your bleeding picks up, that's definitely an indication that you pushed and stressed your body too much that day, whatever you did. Also, if you have pelvic pain or pubis pain or low back pain or hip pain, any of those are an indication that your body is saying, hey, I pushed too much and I'm overguarding myself and there's some discomfort there. And so that's kind of what we want to be looking for there. That's not an exhaustive list, but that can kind of get you started. Did you have anything else to add to this specifically, Jacquelyn?
Yeah, I think the next slide kind of just like ties into the body awareness. And so we can scoot to the next slide.
Yeah, so this specific really quick mindset adjustment that I tell all my clients is that we practice intention over intensity in this season. So within our movement, we really want to make sure I coach my clients to create goals for this season and making sure that you're moving with an alignment of these goals. And so if you want to return to fitness postpartum, what can that look like to you? And what are these goals? And are you moving with intention? You're not just throwing yourself into fitness or throwing yourself into movement, hoping that you want to get your body back or, burn these calories or do whatever. But you're actually being mindful of your movement and doing it with intention.
And just to piggyback off of that is the body awareness. It's really important to connect your body during this time. And for me, in this 2 to 6 weeks, I feel like the survival mode kind of started off and started to sit with, okay, I have this new life and just kind of connecting with that. And it took me some time to process, and coming back home to your body is that ability to be aware of what your body is trying to tell you. And so some connections that you can do is just trying to bring touch back to your body. If you don't have the ability or the resource, especially right now in the times that we're in, to maybe have a physical therapist come, or a massage therapist come and just like bring gentle touch back to your body, I invite you to do that for yourself. I'm actually not going to do meditation on this part.
You what?
I'm actually not going to do meditation on this part.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you can do is just bringing self-massage back to your body, and maybe even starting off with that heart and breath meditation and coming home to yourself and just bringing that love. And then one thing that I really like to do was just womb circles. Maybe I'll just stand up so you can see. It's just like clockwise, like womb circles with some gentle oils and just bringing love and gratitude back into my body. And if I didn't have more time, that was all I did. If I did, maybe I just kind of went into some full body self massage, just bringing touch, bringing gentle awareness back to my body. And sometimes that's the time when the emotions came and I allowed myself time to process. Because for me, my birth was planned a home birth, and I ended up with a C-section. And I feel like this is the time that a lot of that grief started to come in of what I was mourning, not just the birth that I wanted, but also like mourning my old life of these freedoms that you have that you may not just have the ability to get up and leave the house whenever you want. And so coming back home to myself gave me that time to process. And I vocalized my needs. I would tell my husband, hey, I need a moment to just connect to myself. I tried to give myself like little 5-10 minute breaks here and there, and that kind of just helped me, because your body is constantly giving to this other human being. You're constantly touching this other human being and like their life support. It's important to give back to yourself, and those were the ways that I did that. Sometimes it was a bath and then just doing those womb circles by myself, or if all I had time for was a shower, to bring intention. Even when I was just like washing my body, like, thank you for what you've done. I'm so grateful. I forgive you for, not having the birth that I wanted, but this is the way it was meant to be. And I accept that and I honor that. And so connecting to my body was that ability to process and grieve, to be able to settle into my new title and journey of mother.
Oh, that's so good. I loved all of that. And I think it's so good to give you permission to grieve too. And
Yeah.
like, because you could have the best birth ever, planned, it went like you thought it would, all of that, and still need to grieve the changing of seasons, right? Because it's definitely a transition. And I remember I was actually grieving before. I'm a hashtag post griever. So like as much as I like want to, it like not a single thing is going to happen until after the event or whatever happens.
Yeah.
But oddly enough, before my first one, I remember feeling sad, and it was like the week of birth. Like I didn't know it, but it ended up, and I was like, I'm feeling sad. Like we're never gonna have just each other again. Like, and I was like, this is weird. I don't know. Like, of course I'm excited. And, but, like, bless my heart, I didn't know, but like, I just want to like sometimes go back to that, Blanche, and be like, this is actually really important, and really press into this. And it doesn't negate any emotions that you're feeling about how excited you are, but it's really valid and important to grieve the changes that are happening. And so I loved that little tidbit that you shared about that. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, and so now we're gonna jump into our final week 6 through 12 rebuilding. And so this is honestly what people think about when they think about like the postpartum timeline in fitness. It's a little hard though, because if you just go straight back into moving how you were like at weeks 38 of pregnancy, you are a different body than what you were at weeks 38 of pregnancy. And so you have to move. One of my favorite mantras is move with the body you have today. And so that's why it's really important, like with what Jacquelyn was saying, of practicing that body awareness as well. And so we want to slowly introduce progressive overload, which I'll talk about that here. We also want to make sure that we've been focusing on a lot of stability and a lot of balance, and a lot of stability and balance first before we try to progress to strength and power. And so to break it down in terms of movements, we want to focus on squats and hinges and lunges before we're doing box jumps or running or weighted movements, like with weights. And so that's kind of maybe a different way to say that. And so at week 6 postpartum, if you haven't done anything and then your OB clears you and you go on a run later that day, that could really kind of like what Jacquelyn was sharing. It's just not it's not optimal. Like it could be fine, or you could actually kind of hinder your progress that you're wanting, right? So yeah, so the first thing is, I kind of touched on this already. Continue to practice body awareness. What feedback is your body giving you as you increase movement, frequency, and intensity? So you're going to start maybe doing more planned workouts and intentional workouts during this season. And so be aware, if you're okay, I'm going to start with 2 workouts a week. And then you progress to 4 workouts a week because 2 workouts was great for 2 weeks. And then you went to 4. And then you notice that you're feeling really lethargic all the time. Maybe you have headaches. Maybe you're getting pelvic pain, things like this. Then that's your body communicating to you, hey, I'm not actually ready for this frequency yet. And so this is just my personal application and history with this, is that with my second, I actually was able to jump back in and increase the frequency of my workouts a lot quicker. And I was working out 4 to 5 times a week at about 12 weeks postpartum. But with my third, I again had a different body. It was not the one that I had 2 years ago. And it took up until like 10 months postpartum for my body to be ready to increase the frequency to 4 to 5 times a week. And so I'm just now at the place I've been doing this for about 2 to 3 months, where it feels really good and life-giving for me to move 4 to 5 times a week versus like, oh, I have to work out again. I know that I should, but I'm so tired and exhausted. Like, I just really encourage you to give yourself grace to really rest when you need to, because there is no rush to return back to fitness. I know I've said this before, but there's no timeline for when you should or should not, and all this. Like, you just really need to listen to your own body. So the role of progressive overload. I love this principle. Basically, the body adapts to the demands placed on it. And so this is done gradually though, right? So if you think about a pool, you've been in the shallow end for a while, right? You've been doing a lot of restorative rehab movements. You're not just gonna jump into the deep end. We're gonna swim there. And so we want to make sure that our body can handle the demand that we're placing on it. So we just start slow and we build intensity incrementally, and we build stress incrementally. And if you have no idea like how to do this, you can reach out to a coach that's qualified. There's qualified pregnancy and postpartum fitness coaches that know your body, know your season, and can help guide you through this. You can go to a gym. The fitness classes at most gyms, most group fitness classes, are already doing a lot of strength and power movements. And so there's probably going to be a good bit of modification. And so if one of the instructors is qualified to coach in postpartum or knows a lot about postpartum, then you can touch base with them. I will just say that if they've had a baby, that does not qualify them, that there's actually some science that goes into it and some evidence-based research that they need to have some research done, and they need to be kind of vetted in that. And so yes, because it's not, I also can like go on a little like tangent with fitness influencers that have had babies, and I'm like, that it was your experience, that's not everyone's. So just be really, I guess, guarded on what you allow to influence you during this time, because if anyone is claiming that you can have your body back, or if you can close a diastasis, or if you can, insert a specific outcome-based goal in a specific time during this season, then I'd be very, very wary of what that program entails. So, okay.
And just going on to this time period, for me having a C-section, this was the time that I really started to bring some healing into that. So just doing some gentle massage around like the top and bottom of the C-section, and then just bringing gentle touch to the C-section. It's important to daily 5 minutes, maybe like right before bed, or maybe as you wake up before you get out of bed, to bring massage to your C-section, because it'll help it keep it mobile and from adhering to other like muscles or organs, and preventing that scar tissue from getting bigger and developing. And for me, that the first time that I did do that, it was an emotional experience. I think especially because, or not especially, it was just emotional. I mean, your body goes through so much trauma. A C-section is an intense surgery that is, I feel like, sometimes overlooked or maybe taken differently as other surgeries would be for other people in different circumstances. And that first time that I did that, a lot of emotion came up. And for a few times after that, emotions came up. And maybe this is just how I process now that I'm like thinking about it. But as I bring awareness to my body, it's like almost like I'm giving my body permission to do what it needs to do. But it's important to, around the 6-week mark, really bringing massage into it. You can do it with or without oils, but just really taking that time daily. And you should really do it for every day up to a year, and then every few times a week for that second year. And I think I did a different slide on talking about this, but like Blanche was saying, you are the expert of your body. And even if a doctor at 6 weeks is clearing you for,
Sorry, this is not the slide, but
yeah, is clearing you for exercise or to return to be intimate and have intercourse, and your body is telling you no, you need to listen to that body. Because I, at around 6 weeks, was cleared for all of these things, but I wasn't aware that I was having a prolapse, and my OB could not detect it. And so I listened to my body and I sought out other help. I went to a pelvic floor physical therapist. I also went to counseling during my postpartum phase because I was having a harder time in that transition period. And it's okay to ask for help. And even when you do, like when I went to my OB and he was like, nothing's wrong with you, and you know within yourself and in your gut, you need to trust that, because you're going to be your only advocate. You're the only one that knows what's going on within your body, mind, body, spirit, and soul. And so it's important to ask for help. And I think that's why I love this group, because now we have this bank of amazing resources of women locally in San Antonio that can offer and provide so much support through this postpartum phase.
Yes, I love that so much. One of the values of Strong Momma Fitness, and even just me personally, is advocacy. And it's amazing how much you'll need to advocate for yourself during this time. And so if you think that something's off or something just doesn't feel right, please, please, please advocate for a pelvic floor PT referral. Go to a chiropractor, a massage therapist. Really advocate for your body to do whatever it needs during this time. So I've kind of alluded to a lot of this in the presentation, but this is just like the tension of postpartum, is that you are not going to lose your fitness, but there is no timeline to it. And so if you were like running marathons, or if you were crushing CrossFit, or if you were like so into high fitness and doing those things, you're not going to lose that ability, but there's no timeline until when you will get back there. And so it may take you 3 months, just like the typical 12 weeks postpartum. It may take you a year. It may take you 2 years. You really have to trust the process and listen to your body. And I know there's a lot of surrender that goes into this, but that's what motherhood is. And I feel like motherhood just gives us such the opportunity to practice the art of surrender through birth and pregnancy and raising these children and having them teach us as much as we teach them. And so I just really invite you to press into those mindsets For me, I really struggled with like, quote, athlete brain, where you just ignore the pain and you keep going because that's what you were told to do in high school and college. And so I had to fight through that and really become a friend to my body and say, hey, you're communicating something to me. I'm going to stop and listen, and I'll ride this process with you. And so it just makes it that much rewarding when you do get to that point where you're running those marathons again and when you're crushing CrossFit, that you yielded to the season. And now you're not just physically strong, but you're just as mentally strong, and you are resilient and able to just to really live life with a strong mind, body, and soul. And so something I'm super passionate about.
So one thing I think is also important in that postpartum phase, whether you've been postpartum recently or it's been a few years, is just sealing up your body energetically, emotionally, and physically. And one thing that I want to lead us through is just a little meditation to close up your body energetically, because you are carrying this other life within you, this other being, this other soul. They have their own energy. And when you give birth, however that looks for you, it's important to close off yourself and to almost like say, okay, you're your own human being and own self, and I'm my own human being and my own self, and we need to find this disconnect so we can go on our own separate paths in this life. And so even if you're pregnant, that's okay. You can still practice so that you know how to do this when you're in your postpartum. Let's just go ahead and reconnect, just rubbing our hands together, activating that energy, and just placing a hand on your heart and a hand on your womb, wherever you are, and just closing your eyes. And just take a nice deep inhale through your breath and in through your nose. And let out a sigh through your mouth, allowing you to melt into this time. We'll do that again, in through your nose, bringing clean, fresh air into your lungs and body. And exhale with a sigh through your mouth, just releasing all that tension that you've been carrying with you, feeling it melt away. Just breathing naturally and normal to you. And let's just go ahead and bring awareness to our heart and our womb. With every breath, allowing that healing light of love to activate here. And just taking a moment again to bring gratitude to your body for its capabilities, for its strength, for its sacrifice of growing this beautiful baby and preparing it and bringing it earthside. And I want you to just imagine that this energy within you starts to glow brighter and brighter and brighter, expanding out of you into your aura and sealing up this space, disconnecting you from other ties, disconnecting you and sending love to your birth. And just imagine that birth canal being slowly brought back together, slowly closing with every inhale, bringing all of that energy back within you. Allowing that to bring the love back to yourself so that we are not continuously over giving. And just imagine this energy from your birth canal flowing up your body, through your womb, through your core, through your heart, through your throat, through your third eye, into the crown of your head, and even allowing that space to close up above us. No matter how our birth went, we had to open up this space to above to receive. And just feeling how all of this energy that you've given out into the earth for your baby, for your birth, is slowly coming back within you, recharging you, revitalizing you, and harmonizing within you. And now as you breathe in, you feel this energy glowing and amplifying, amping you up for love and strength for your days to come. Feeling all of this protection and healing sealing up around you. Breathing a deep inhale into this. Holding at the top for just a moment, allowing it to settle. And as you exhale through your mouth, just feeling it all settle into you. Feeling gratitude in your heart for showing up. And slowly begin to blink your eyes again, coming back to awareness of present day. And that's just a little something that I like to do, because we give so much into birth and in that beginning postpartum phase. So just bring it back, like bring all your energy that you've given out, refill yourself back up. And maybe you feel like you need to do that multiple times, and that's okay. To just, even throughout the day, I feel like we continue to give, especially as women. So I like to practice that, like all the energy I've given out, I bring it back to myself to just refill myself back up.
Thank you. I love that. Okay.
And I added this at the end, but we already talked about this, that it's okay to ask for help. It's important to actually start building up your resource bank of referrals, of people that you can reach out to in this postpartum phase. And maybe even asking other mamas who they've used, or going into this resource bank that we have with the San Antonio Family Support Collective, and seeing who you want to have on your speed dial or on your list of calls to go to for when that time comes that it's needed.
Yes, 110%. Okay, we're going to open up for questions really quick. Does anybody have any questions? You can either write it in the chat or unmute yourself and ask. Okay, so we're going to we want to really connect with you guys. So if you have any questions and maybe you didn't have time, or maybe you're in the replay and you're not listening, or you weren't live, we wanted to give you the opportunity to connect with us. You can email me at blanche@strongmomma.fitness. Follow me on any of the socials. I have a business page, Strong Momma Fitness, on Facebook. My Instagram is Blanche Schuchardt, and I'm very active on that platform. And I also have a podcast, Blossom Strong Podcast. And so you can follow me on Instagram. I actually have both accounts, a Blossom Strong Podcast and just a business account. So you can follow me on social. My website is strongmomma.fitness. Strongmomma.com was taken, so strongmomma.fitness is what my website was. And so I would love for you to connect. I love coaching women through the motherhood transition, empowering them to have strong mind, body, and souls through this season, and just really, really kind of unearthing how strong they really are. And so if you have any questions or comments, please reach out.
Yes, and again, I'm Jacquelyn Paige, and you can email me at lifereborn@jacquelynpaige.com. My Instagram is JacquelynPaige513. I'm very active as well on my social medias, and my Facebook page is Jacquelyn Paige. And I do have a podcast as well, Life Reborn podcast. I'm not as active on it as much, but I did navigate a lot through my early postpartum period. So maybe you want to listen to that, and hopefully that just inspires you or just gives you permission for whatever you're needing. And then my website, is actually jacquelynpaige.com. So just ignore that, Life Reborn. But jacquelynpaige.com, and you can see the resources that I have, and just the services that I'm able to offer women during this perinatal phase. And we did have one comment. Dominique said, "Thank you for giving me permission to grieve. I'm pregnant and I feel guilty a lot." And so, yes, it's important to just honor any emotions that come up. And I'm glad that you were given that permission to do that in this space today.
Yes, definitely. Such a safe place, and you are not alone, and not at all. And then Rebecca said, thank you for pointing out that slow is fast. I was already planning my first run after birth and realized that I need to give my body the time it needs to get back there and listen to it. Yes. And I totally understand because I'm so the same way. I'm like, let's do it. Let's go. And my body's like, your brain is there. Your body is not. Give me just a moment. And so I totally can empathize with you. But yes, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. I think that's it, unless anyone else has any other comments or questions. Wonderful. Okay. Well, then that's it, guys. Thank you so much. Again, we are the San Antonio Family Support Collective, and this is the Thriving Together workshop series. We love you guys and are here to support you so that you can thrive in this season. I will talk to y'all later.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.